I just found out too. Listen, a few of my friends and I wanted to attend your concert, but the tickets are all sold out. Any chance of getting us in? Wang Jung said. Small matter. My older cousin already asked me to run some errands too. Over the Skylink, Wei Yin's voice was clearly excited. It looked like the little wench was overjoyed to be out and playing. We have quite a few, about. Wang Jung calculated. There was Xiao Fei too, and if Rastin wanted to go, Xie Yachting could not be left out either, or Rastin would be resented to no end. Don't worry, it seats 10. If you need more, I'll just vacate more for you, Lin Weiyan interrupted. Life was life. Some people had it unbelievably hard, and for others, it was a bed of roses. Over the Skylink came the voices of workers. Lin Weiyan said in a hushed voice, I've got to go, don't forget to come. Lai Guang and Rastin looked over at Wang Jung. Was he for real? If something could not be done for Lai Guang on Martian territory, then it was probably unfeasible. Of course, Lai Guang was not really a spoiled playboy and would not make a scene over such a matter. Wang Jung hung up. We're in luck, there's a place that seats 10. Rastin and Lai Guang stared at each other. Rastin coughed dryly. Really? Probably not mistaken. My friend is rather dependable, he said with a meaningful glance at Lai Guang. He too preferred to keep things cool. He disdained those who held themselves with an air of superiority, like Achilles and Lear. Rastin patted Lai Guang. Do you see that? That's called more than meets the eye. Ha, didn't I say so earlier? My sister always mentions you, she must want to climb onto you, Lai Guang said. Wang Jung and Rastin knew better, he always bragged too much. Try saying that to Lai Xin's face. Kiki, cut it out. I still want to live for a few more years at least, Wang Jung quickly objected. The three laughed lightheartedly. How could Lai Guang have thought of Wang Jung as a pretty boy? Rastin admired him. If he still held his nose high in the face of such a stellar performance in the IG preliminary qualifiers, then he really was a fool. Of course, Lai Guang did not regard Wang Jung competitively as a threat. No matter how you looked at it, no matter what IG was, the commoners could at most participate. They could not afford to play around. Especially him, as his heart was not in the game. Because he could see through it, he lacked the motivation. People changed with the times. His previous loss was simply a matter of course, he too genuinely felt that he should do something about it. Becoming mature was a game of the inner self. Things would sort themselves out when the conditions were right. At least he had already done all the things he wanted to do. Actually, I quite envy you. While we're slogging our guts out, you're wantonly enjoying life. Your casual daily activities are exciting to me, Rastin joked. Hey, Wang Jung, did you see that? Don't be fooled by the studious, upright appearance of this one. He's got all kinds of sick hobbies, Lai Guang immediately countered. Although he was not particularly familiar with Wang Jung, neither of them regarded him as an outsider. We're here. This is one of the Lai family's villas in Jipu. It's a bit old and small, but passable. The door of the magnetic car opened. Wang Jung felt like snorting. Good lord, this was what they called small. Rastin could not resist. Sometimes I just want to find a needle and thread and sew your mouth shut. Wang Jung, no need to stand on ceremony with him. We're here to plunder everything he has. Rastin, it's not wise to bully my brother in front of me. Lai Xin's voice wafted out. In IG, they got used to Lai Xin's formidability, but here they saw her in lazy get-up. Her slender legs, pert behind, that bursting pair of breasts. Her entire body was brimming with the sexiness of youth. What's with your sexy attire, Lai Xin? Are you trying to seduce us? Rastin said. That depends on if you're even worth it. Lai Xin's eyelashes batted. She was stunning, but definitely the rose with thorns type. Poisonous thorns at that. Wang Jung. Needs no introduction, I guess. Lai Xin sized him up. Wang Jung, how about a deal? You get Zhang Runan to hang with me and you get to name your condition. Wang Jung tapped his nose contemplatively. What did she take him for, a human trafficker? In this matter I'm powerless, but that isn't to say there isn't a way. Oh, you could come to the Aries College. I think Sister Nan would consent to be friends. Rastin and Lai Guang burst into a fit of cackling. She regarded Wang Jung as a friend, but their laughter soured the joke. Lai Xin stared at Wang Zheng. I'll let you off easy because you're a guest. Rastin found it curious. Logically, Wang Zheng should be a commoner, even if his abilities were respectable. Yet he was unperturbed in that situation, which was noteworthy. Don't say that, Lai Xin. I was just denouncing Lai Guang. This wretch said he would invite us to watch a concert, but he dropped the ball. Luckily, Wang Zheng settled the matter. Are you coming? 10 seats is way more than enough. Wang Zheng felt puzzled. During the IG training, Rastin had always been a stickler for the rules. Perhaps he was being oversensitive recently, but even if Rastin's eyes gave nothing away, he seemed somehow entranced by Lai Xin. Could it be that he liked Lai Xin? There were many kinds of guys. Lai Guang was the extroverted kind. Wang Zheng was the melancholy kind. And Rastin could only be classified as the no-personality type. Generally, girls loved Lin Weiyan, but Lai Xin was an exception. I don't understand why everyone loves that wench. Only her latest songs show the slight hint of promise. Sis, you have to get with the times. Don't always be thinking of conquering the world, you have to relax at times too. Lai Guang would really mock anybody. Lai Xin glared at Lai Guang and made a, please, gesture. Ordinary people would not even dare to step into the Lai family's house. The moment the host and guests were seated, waiting women brought out fragrant tea leaves. The Lai family clearly had an excellent history for such habits to be ingrained since birth. Wang Zheng, I hear the second phase is about to begin. Everyone is busy with special training in anticipation of taking some wind out of the Aries College students' sails. Are you prepared? Lai Xin asked. Lai Xin still seemed like a girl and she possessed limitless charm. It was said that the Lai girls were all like her, ordinary males could not hope to attract them. Wang Zheng savored Mars' famous fire chrysanthemum tea. The flavor was indeed special, and the tea contained a thread of fire essence. It was subtle. Perhaps only one possessing an affinity with such power, like Wang Zheng, would discover its presence. Although it had no particular use, it could probably condition the body with enough accumulation. I've completed training. The school recently acquired 4 new mecha, and it never hurts to be prepared. As Wang Zheng finished speaking, the other 3 were stunned. Why are you all looking at me like that? They looked at each other in dismay. Rastin agitatedly asked, is Aries College that poor? Other colleges normally prepare tens of mech, and I fear such extravagance is common. Wang Zheng smiled mildly. Mecha are but machines. It's the wielder that matters. As long as the basic template is there, it will be enough. The rest is up to ability. Wang Zheng's words were spoken mildly, but they belied the depth of his aggressiveness. He faced Rastin and the rest full of confidence. Oh, then we're really looking forward to this, Lai Xin said. After the brilliant spectacle in the first phase, Aries College was receiving more attention. Everyone spared no effort in the preparation for the second phase, whether it was the Lai family, or the moon, or anywhere else. It was originally thought that Earth would treat it more seriously. Let's not mention that anymore. It's not easy to come to Mars. Have you prepared an itinerary? Wang Zheng and I are both very interested in the Sage sect. For one to come to Mars and not visit the Sage sect was the biggest singular regret a person could have. The Sage sect held great meaning for the solar system, much like how Atlantis held great meaning for the entirety of mankind. Both were living legends. Kiki, it's all up to your destiny now, Lai Guang said. At Aries College, although Wang Zheng wasn't there, Zhang Shan, Meng Tian, and Zhang Runan had been put through training that was even more grueling and specialized. Especially Zhang Shan. That last-minute performance in the third stage actually did not count for much. No matter how good one's spatial control was, military might was needed for support. The second phase decided victory and defeat. Having changed systems, Zhang Shan had no other option. Zhou Mu had become even stricter in his regimen. Power and endurance training in the morning, mech training in the afternoon. He had also begun on battle tactics. The Demon Wolf Type 5 was piloted by Zhou Mu. He acted as everybody's opponent. Back in the day, he was a figure who shook the scene. Although he was no longer in his prime, his experience remained, which was something Zhou Mu wanted to teach to the students. Bang! Zhang Shan's Beast Type 3 was flung backwards. He discreetly adjusted his position and was about to resume charging when Joe Emu's voice rang out. Stop. If the shields had been depleted by 10% or more, persisting would lead to sustained damage. Zhang Shan was raring to go, but stopped nonetheless. In his mind, the memory of battle was fresh. It felt unbearably invigorating. Although he had been eating Joe Emu's dust, the feeling of battle was an addictive drug. Not bad. You're starting to get used to maneuvering the Beast series mech, but your fighting actions are still too obvious. They will be easily predicted. Think more carefully on how you are going to conceal your intentions. I understand. Thank you, instructor. Zhang Shan wistfully relinquished control of the Beast Type 3 to Luomu to replenish the shields, maintain and check the parts, and assess the damages sustained. Meng Tian, you're up. In battle, Meng Tian used the Hunter Type 3 that specialized in long-range attacks. In this practice field, she could not bring her forte to bear, but the conditions of a battlefield were fickle. Even Sniper Mecha inevitably had to fight in close range. Joe Emu's Demon Wolf Type 5 leapt forward immediately. Although he had retired and was aged, he was experienced and competitive. Against Zhang Shan, it was a battle of one's movement. But against Meng Tian, he charged straight forward to quickly engage in close-range battle. Meng Tian's response was calm. She backed up systematically, drawing as much distance as he could. At the same time, she used her laser rifle to suppress the Demon Wolf Type 5 movement and repress its advance, watching for her opportunity to counterattack. The pattern's off, however. Zhang Runan shook her head. Although she was relatively inexperienced, she had a keen innate sense for battle. Joe Emu's actions were clearly baiting her. The Demon Wolf Type 5 should be capable of a higher speed. Bang! Joe Mu seized his chance. He faked a retreat, then doubled back with a burst of speed to jump into his effective range. Bang! The Demon Wolf's dagger edge sliced deep into the Hunter Type 3's energy shield. Yet the Demon Wolf was clearly holding back. It cut exactly 10% of the shield's energy, then Joe Mu flipped backwards to disengage. Stop. Meng Tian was stumped. In the instant that Joe Mu drew back, she moved reflexively to attack. When she realized it was a feint, it was too late. Against the Demon Wolf's agility, the only way for the Hunter Type 3 to maintain its distance was to predict the opponent's movements and move preemptively to respond. Even more crucially, when the Demon Wolf had closed in for the kill, she tried to stave it off with her guns instead of switching to her titanium blades. Joe Mu smiled. Meng Tian did well. If only she had been more decisive, she might not have lost. No matter how good one's long-range capabilities are, enemies will always target the weak points in battle. One should never depend too heavily on one's forte. The onlookers nodded. To be all-rounded was a necessity. A forte was useful for the offense, but being a balanced fighter might save your life. Zhang Shan realized it as well. Although Meng Tian had seemingly spotted her chance, it was actually Joe Emu's trap. He had lulled Meng Tian into relying on her long-range weapons, and his sudden advance had surprised her into forgetting about switching to her titanium blades for the defense. Purpose. Meng Tian's close combat skills were actually satisfactory. If she had fought, she could have dealt excessive damage to mech. That's too stingy. Luomu smacked her head. What do you know? This kind of lesson leaves the deepest memories. Anyway, it's not stingy. In the end, we can't keep the mecha undamaged, but this is not the time to wreck them. Since everybody was just beginning to test out mech fighting, the key was to practice combinations, to gain as much experience as possible. To do their four mecha justice, they should only risk further irreparable damage when they were fully trained. Zhang Runan burrowed into her mech with a rumble. Her balanced Bada Type 5 looked formidable. Joe Mu coughed. Zhang Runan, today you will continue to practice control over your concentration. Joe Mu could take no more. He knew his students' standards were paltry, but his hands had already started to become sore. The last two matches had been showy. Zhang Shan's ability had brought the Beast Type 3 to its full potential. Although he had gone easy, the stress of using the Demon Wolf Type 5 was unbelievably huge. Furthermore, to unnerve Meng Tian's calm demeanor required every trick he knew in his prime. In short, this bunch of kids were good seeds. Although they seemed lackluster at first, Joe Mu desired to train them. Those highly born lauded what they had. Even if he had to sacrifice everything, he swore to unhorse them. It was just, he needed to rest and conserve his energy for tomorrow. Zhang Runan nodded. Although she was itching to go, she stood at one side and commenced her control training. Zhang Shan opened his newly added shield and walked his newly repaired Beast Type 3 into the training arena. He watched Zhang Runan's control training. To use a mech to hold a chicken egg, formidable Sister Nan, I've tried it too. It is impossible, Zhang Shan said. Meng Tian smiled. After you become experienced, you must do this training as well. Even without ability X, Zhang Shan was wide-eyed with surprise. Paf. Luomu, who had just finished maintenance on the hunter mech, had come over to slap Zhang Shan heartily on the back. Haven't you heard the proverb that stupid birds had better fly first? What are you doing, still mucking about here? Have you accomplished today's goals? Meng Tian, your mech is ready. Meng Tian nodded. She also wanted to begin Ability X control training and attain comparable power to Zhang Runan. The power of frost, the ability to use G materials, yet there were upsides and downsides. Transmitting power through a mech led to a great expenditure of energy. A normal human body could emit 10 minutes worth of Ability X on a mech, this became 30 seconds. Conversely, 10 minutes of forceful control outside of the mech translated to a much longer time inside. Zhang Shan expressed indifference, but he felt envious. Unfortunately, one's ability X was innate. If you had it, you had it. If you did not, no amount of prayer would get you any. All Zhang Shan could do was think of his idol, Guide, the strongest mech pilot without ability X. Actually, Wang Zheng had no ability X either. He immediately felt better. At this time, Zhang Shan actually missed Wang Zheng a little. He missed his sharp insights which had always bettered his performance substantially. Zhang Shan was always hard on himself. When a person achieved singular focus on something, they should charge for the summit and stop only when they were done. Hungry people were motivated people. If one's actions were too obvious, then finer control should be trained. The beast advanced swiftly in small stutter steps. One easily got lost in one's footwork during battle. Lighter mecha used a butterfly step, but in the hands of a novice it looked like an elephant learning ballet. Nevertheless, Zhang Shan was slowly beginning to find his rhythm. Once Zhou Mu left, Zhang Shan could sit still no longer. He would challenge Sister Zhang Runan. Real men were strongest when they battled. Come at me then, Mountain Maiden, Zhang Runan beckoned. Brother Nan, will you call me Brother Shan? If I win? Zhang Runan was undoubtedly stronger than himself, but Zhang Shan was looking for a little extra motivation. We'll talk about it if you ever win. All right, here I come. With a deafening rumble, Zhang Shan went in guns blazing. 5 minutes later, he was on his back. Zhang Shan struggled for clarity amidst the chaos. Damn it, you can't play like that, it's against the rules. Clearly, Zhang Runan had used her ability X in that instant. No matter how formidable the Bata Type 5 was, it could not possibly have withstood the brunt of a full-speed charge from the Hunter Type 3. Zhang Runan's voice drifted down from the mech above. Why can't I use power that I have? IG is not a place that cares about fairness, I'm just teaching you this earlier for your own good. This pompous reasoning was so outrageous that it left Zhang Shan speechless. Yet in the second phase of IG, those who had ability X clearly would not hold back. The corner of Meng Tian's mouth twitched in a rare smile. Wait a moment. It can't be just me that gains such a good experience. Meng Tian should try it as well. I can also observe what a battle between ability X users looks like. A cool observer's gaze saw clearer than one engaged in the heat of battle. Zhang Shan understood this. To defeat an enemy, one had to understand them better than themselves. It's doable. But you had best clear the arena and observe from the viewing platform, Zhang Runan said. The two had planned to clash anyway. All right. Zhang Shan moved his mech into the depot and handed it back over to Luomu for repairs and recharging. Then he ascended the adjacent viewing platform. Meng Tian smiled slightly. In truth, she too wanted to test her own ability. The hunter charged onto the arena. Zhang Runan took on a more ready stance, unlike the relaxed posture she had against Zhang Shan. Meng Tian's hunter was abnormally calm. Her gun barrels drooped ever so slightly. Suddenly, they rose and fired. A quick succession of 3 aimed shots in the shape of a triangle. Zhang Runan dodged from side to side. She bent at the waist to reduce her stature, predicting Meng Tian's firing volume and aim. Only one burst grazed her energy shield, depleting 3% of its energy. Zhang Runan no longer hit her high-frequency butterfly step. She had dedicated the last few days to practicing this surprising footwork and had brought it to bear now. Bang! The Bata Type 5 danced like a butterfly in the hail of bullets. Although the energy shields were depleted, only grazes were sustained, and the damage taken was minimal. When her energy had fallen by close to 20%, the Bata Type 5 suddenly leapt up, closing in on Meng Tian with titanium blades glinting, forcing her into close combat. Meng Tian's weakness. But with a flash of lightning and sparks, Meng Tian calmly threw down her railgun and drew her own titanium blades. Although she was more used to long-range weapons, she could hold her own with a blade. Her frost ability was equally good in close combat. Zhang Ruan's power was the genuine thing. Neither party was looking to show off, but were simply curious as to the outcome when Ability X users clashed. The titanium blades clashed deafeningly. Zhang Runan felt a wave of chill sweep over her and numb her body slightly. She could not hold back a shiver. Meng Tian, on the other hand, had to deal with a huge surge of energy coming her way. Both titanium blades lost control simultaneously, flying away. But Zhang Runan's strength was prodigious. After being hit with a blast of frost ability, she lost her aim. One titanium blade flew towards the entrance. At this very moment, Zhang Shan ran out from the viewing room. Zhang Shan felt that he would get a better view and feel for the battle. Eyes widening, he saw a huge blade flying towards him. Damn! This could instantly turn him into paste. He tried to respond, but the huge titanium blade flew with a vicious wind that paralyzed him with fear. Zhang Shan, Zhang Runan and Meng Tian screamed in unison. They would never have even dreamed that such a situation would occur, and it was too late to intervene. Kablam! The huge titanium knife gouged a huge streak and was embedded in the wall. Crash! Rubble rained onto the floor. Zhang Runan and Meng Tian jumped out of their mecha. Zhang Shan. Luomu came running from behind as well, face ashen. How could such a thing have happened? Meng Tian and Zhang Runan were white as a sheets as well. Their eyes were red, and they were on the verge of rushing over. From the side, a voice came. Fuck, almost peed my pants there. Zhang Shan was standing 5 meters to the right of the door with a sour expression on his face. His legs were quivering uncontrollably, and he had to hold the wall to support himself upright. How could this be possible? What on earth had just happened? Meng Tian and Zhang Runan exchanged glances. Ability X. How was this possible? Zhang Shan pinched his face, then slapped himself vehemently to calm himself. He had never thought about death seriously before. But in that moment of life and death, with death in front of his eyes, his feet were rooted to the ground. Could we have been mistaken? Zhang Runan frowned. Zhang Shan, you. How did you do it? Meng Tian's look was filled with shock. Do what? Zhang Shan's entire body felt weak as cotton. So much for laughing at death. Damn it, he wanted to become a mecha pilot, but he wanted to be a hero, not a martyr. I remember you were clearly just standing at the entrance. How could you have reached the side in a flash? Did I? Beats me. I thought I was dead. Could it have been a hallucination? Luomu was shocked, speechless as well. Let's view the recording. In the control room, all 4 were anxious and impatient. Could they have seen wrongly? What had happened? In the video, it was clear. After the clash, the titanium blade had flown towards Zhang Shan. In its trajectory, Zhang Shan was dead without doubt. The titanium blade reached right in front of Zhang Shan. It had just begun to slice his forehead when Zhang Shan actually disappeared. All 3 pairs of eyes were on Zhang Shan. Zhang Shan himself was also bemused. At Academy X, we heard that such abilities existed. We thought it was just a legend, but to think that it actually occurred. Congratulations, Zhang Shan. Your ability X has awakened, and it seems to be a pretty high-grade one as well, Meng Tian exclaimed. Zhang Runan patted Zhang Shan's elbow. Well done, Mountain Maiden. The next phase of IG depends on you now. Zhang Shan laughed exultantly at the uncommon praise. the cold sweat on his brow now forgotten. I always knew I was a genius. Wait till Wang Jung gets back, he'll probably drop dead with envy. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan smiled knowingly. Sufficient genetic potential could trigger under special circumstances, but it would have to be a time of real danger. It was useless to try to simulate such a situation, and Zhang Shan had indeed been at the brink of death. What was even more frightening was that if his ability had not awakened, he would be dead beyond a doubt. A strong person truly needed a bit of luck. Although Luomu did not fully comprehend what had just happened, he knew that this meant that the Ares College's ability had just taken a step forward. Zhang Shan gritted his teeth and scrunched up his face. What are you doing? I'm trying to activate it again. Perhaps next time I could enter the girls' dormitory without even walking through the front door, Zhang Shan said. But nothing happened. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan were between laughter and tears. Do you think mastery over ability X is as easy as breathing? Your type of awakening happened during a point of near death, and it happened unconsciously. You still have a long way to go. But if you perform well, we could give you some advice along the way. Zhang Shan immediately adopted a solemn face upon hearing this. My empresses, I am at your beck and call. This little one would bow, scrape, and lay its life down for you. Surviving a close brush with death had raised everybody's moods. It was no small challenge for Zhang Shan to achieve mastery over such power, but if he did, Zhang Shan had the potential to be a great mech pilot. In Zhang Shan's view, he did not care about the strength of his ability X as long as he had it. He could find his way slowly. He suddenly felt grateful for all the years he had dedicated to his passion for physics. If he had known things would turn out this way, he would have researched the concept of time more. How much more capable he would be now. Zhang Shan felt he was becoming more and more like a Superman. But Meng Tian was quick to rain on his parade. Although he was a rare bird, he was not the only one. Much still depended on his ability and level of control. Furthermore, powering a mech with ability X cut the effect by a huge multiplier. Everybody needed long periods of drilling and practice to make it work. However, it was still a matter worthy of celebration. While Zhang Shan was overjoyed, Meng Tian and Zhang Runan spotted a mutual twinge of pity in the other's eyes. Wang Jung really was good at everything, but he lacked good fortune. If only he could awaken an ability of some sort. Even if it was that of a weak caliber, it would still strengthen him significantly. He would be able to see the world in a way which only those who possessed strength would understand. In the car, Wang Jung sneezed uncontrollably a few times. Someone must have been thinking of him. They were planning to go to the Sage sect for a quick visit. If chance would have it, he might even be able to meet the leader of the Sage sect. After that, they would attend Lin Huiyan's concert. To Wang Jung, this was a lucky break. This was an opportunity prepared for Rastan. Clearly Lai Guang and Lai Xin both favored Rastan, an ally they strove to please. Wang Jung was riding his coattails to glory. Alone, Wang Jung was not worthy of such great effort on Lai Guang's part. About the meeting and other concerns, Wang Jung had left a message for Xiao Fei and switched off his Skylink. This was a standard request for all who entered the Sage sect's encampment. Lai Guang, is there a chance or not? Even the usually calm and composed Rastan could not restrain himself. Lai Guang and Lai Xin exchanged a look and broke out into smiles. Rastan, we were so curious to see if you could resist. Lai Xin said, looks like you aren't as composed as you thought. Lai Xin, I'm just a normal person acting calm at times. Forget composure, if I could meet the sage leader, it would be the honor of my lifetime. Although he was not a Martian, as a citizen of Karagal, there were not many bastions of culture. He yearned endlessly to meet this living legend from Mars. Back in the day, only Earth's Sacred Hall came close in comparison to the Sage sect. After the Sacred Hall disappeared, the Sage sect remained the only enigmatic existence in the solar system. Although the solar system's paltry influence did not count for much when seen from the greater interstellar perspective, the Sage sect remained noble and important to the solar system. He couldn't believe it, he was finally there. Rastan was clearly a believer. Wang Jung had only heard of the Sage sect in passing, in addition to some wild tales. Something about determining fate. It was too difficult to put into words. He would see for himself. It's difficult for me to meet the old man as well. I don't have the power to ask. There, this one in front of your eyes is the esteemed benefactor, the last disciple, Lai Xin said, pouting at Lai Guang. It went without saying that the Lai family's favor towards Lai Guang was influenced by the sage sect's favor. In truth, all Lai Guang wanted was a genuine, warm family instead of all this respect. But he could not speak the words in his heart. I don't dare to guarantee this. I did inform my master, but he did not reply. Once we get there, we'll know. Lai Guang shrugged frustratedly. He really wanted to show off a little in front of his friends, but this was not something he could control readily. Even to have secured a visit to the sage sect was no small feat. Whether we can see the sage leader depends on our luck after all. Rastin also knew that the chances were slim from the expression on Lai Guang's face. If he was coming to see them, the sage leader would have said something. If he did not, the chances were negligibly low. Even if it had been the chairman of the solar system, he might not have been able to request an audience with the sage leader, who was considered above worldly matters. Legend held that the sage sect had been left one condition from the past, which was never to interfere in any matter outside of Mars. Of course, these were merely historically unsolvable mysteries today. The encampment of the sage sect was indeed bare and retained an air of mystery. As they entered a craggy, mountainous area, they finally saw an unremarkable structure well hidden in the mountain forest. Although simple, it held an otherworldly aura. Wang Zheng and Rastin looked at each other. Regardless of whether it was the influence of fables or an actual mystery, both of them felt thus. Such places did exist on Earth, but they attracted large crowds, and important festivals saw many pilgrims come to offer incense. Yet this place was serene beyond comparison. The magnetic car came to a halt at the foot of the mountain and the four alighted. Lai Guang said, "Let's walk up, it's a rule." Once they entered the encampment, Lai Guang and Lai Xin had repressed their good humor and became exceptionally sober in their manner. To Martians, faith in the sage sect stemmed from one's inner self. Wang Zheng, what's wrong? The rest of them had walked forward more than 10 steps, but Wang Zheng remained rooted to the spot. Wang Zheng was indeed stunned. He had felt a wave of stupendous power. It was unimaginable. This huge power was emanating from the structure on the mountain. It straddled heaven and earth, which merged as one. Could the fables be real? Could such mysterious, exceptional power exist? But why could he sense it? Wang Zheng, let's carry on. You can admire it on your own time once we reach the top, Lai Xin said. Nevertheless, Wang Zheng's reverent manner was met with approval by Lai Xin and Lai Guang. Whether you believed or not did not matter, but to be viewed favorably by Martians, one had to show respect towards the sage sect. Wang Zheng's expression had become grave. Sorry, just a little distracted. The sage sect really is a mysterious existence. Is this the central area of the sect? Kiki, I like the way you think. I've never been to the central area. This is the Jipu regional area, one of the 3 major areas of the sect. Not just anybody can come here, you know, Lai Xin said. Lai Guang's gaze wavered with misgivings, but he turned around and shook his head. Come on. Every single devout person will receive the grace of heaven. Lai Guang was undoubtedly pious. The four walked towards the mountain peak without any frivolity. Lai Guang and Lai Xin walked steadily forward in proper fashion. Their sincerity soon began to rub off on Wang Zheng and Rastin. The stately pace took a toll on their speed. They took close to an hour to arrive in front of the mountain gate's staircase. Throughout the entire process, no one had spoken. Lai Xin and Lai Guang seemed to be undertaking a cleansing ritual. Lai Guang smiled lightly. Please wait here, the 3 of you. I will go and knock. What he called knocking was not on an actual door, but a preliminary notification as a gesture of respect to Rastin and Wang Zheng, signifying their status as honored guests. But before Lai Guang could move, a gong sounded from within the sect. Dong! 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 Lai Guang and Lai Xin's expressions changed. How could this be? Who was coming? Once the gong had sounded 8 times, Lai Guang and Lai Xin's hearts hardly dared to beat. It meant that the sage sect had honored guests, yet the gong did not stop there. It sounded a full 12 times, the sound reverberating around the valley. How could this be? Lai Xin muttered. She looked towards Lai Guang apprehensively. Lai Guang laughed cynically. The venerated master really is here. Too bad he's not rushing out to meet us. We must have coincidentally come at the same time as other honored guests. Well, this isn't a bad thing. You might actually have the chance to meet him. This was the leader's ritual to welcome guests, but 12 times, it did seem to hold some particular significance. Even at the regional area, it had not been used for many years. At this moment, the mountain gate opened and two fresh-faced youths bounded towards them carefreely with a light step. Although there were a full 1,000 individual steps, they readily reached the four. Both youths were very young. Two pairs of brilliant jet-black eyes took the measure of the four. They smiled at Lai Guang. "Senior, Master is in the main hall, you should hurry there." "Little Red, you mean to say that Master is waiting for us?" Lai Guang gaped in astonishment. But I haven't done anything wrong recently." The one called Little Red shook his head mischievously. "Master said that an old friend is here. I don't know about the rest." All four of them were a little stunned. Who amongst them was the old friend? This journey had only become more and more confusing for the four of them. Wang Zheng walked forward slowly. Strangely, the closer he got, the more he was filled with a sense of happiness. He could sense the essence around him even clearer than when he was on Earth. It was as though he was about to become one with the mountain. And at this moment, Wang Zheng sensed that on the mountain, someone was waiting for him. No one spoke as they traveled, although the two children were surreptitiously sizing them up. Lai Xin, let alone Rastin, began to feel a little nervous. Although she was part of the Lai family, she never had the luck that seemed to favor Lai Guang. Even the head of the Lai family could not easily meet the sage leader. At the entrance to the main hall, the two children held Lai Xin and the rest back and respectfully bowed, "Please." Without thinking too much about it, Wang Zheng naturally walked towards the great hall. He was not sure how to put the feeling in words. However, Rastin and the rest were prevented from entering. Lai Guang was panicky. "What's the matter? Won't Sage see me?" The other boys smiled. "Senior, you've already entered, but this time around Sage will not meet with you." "Little White, you mean Sage came down the mountain to see him?" Lai Guang was shocked. "How is this possible? I didn't even plan to invite him, if it wasn't for Rastin." The three of them looked at each other. It was like a dream. Rastin was even more bemused. This was definitely not purposefully planned. Even he did not know he would coincidentally meet Wang Zheng, so how would Lai Guang have foreseen that then? And as for the sage, Rastin was suddenly filled with respect for the sage sect. Although he was not fated for a meeting, such an experience was already a marvel in itself. As for Wang Zheng, Lai Xin felt envious. Could it be a mistake? On what basis did that pretty boy warrant a meeting with the sage? Could it be a mistake? Lai Xin could not help but muse. The two boys could not restrain their amusement, but they said nothing. Lai Guang scratched his head. After all this trouble, we're nothing but escorts. Where did this punk come from to have such luck? Wang Zheng was thinking nothing complicated of such sorts. Once he stepped into the main hall, the matters of the world fell away in an instant. He saw an ordinary-looking old man smiling at him. In front of him was a praying mat. Wordlessly, Wang Zheng seated himself composedly on the mat. In that instant, he recalled his encounter with a strange feeling on the Northern Star. It was as though he was in the same state once again. The sage's face was creased in a mild smile. His gaze looked as though it pierced through time. It held reminiscence and anguish. What was the truth that lay in its depths? Perhaps the final answer was only for the sage himself to know. Who would have known that such a day would have come in the passage of time? Yet it was as though his ability was insufficient to comprehend some of what he saw. Something that endured through endless generations, yet nothing of substance. Merely an imprint, as though there was something more profound, yet completely ignorant. Gradually, the sage smiled knowingly. He felt as though he had left his body behind. He was in the hands of fate now. What would come, would come. Old and young sat quietly facing each other. Wang Zheng felt like his mind was empty and simultaneously filled with thoughts. When he opened his eyes, he discovered that the sage had disappeared. His entire person felt relaxed. Suddenly, he found he was no longer preoccupied with ability. Strength was honed and depended on how one wielded it. The path he walked was different from that of ordinary mortals. To gain, one must first let go. He pushed open the door and was met with a starry sky outside. Ah, it was only a moment. How could it already have gotten dark? Bro, you're too much. We've been standing outside for 6 hours, Lai Guang inadvertently spat out. 6 hours and 10 minutes. Talk, Wang Zheng. What did the sage say to you? Lai Xin was brimming with curiosity. Wang Zheng shrugged and tapped his head absently. I missed such a good opportunity. Once I entered and sat on the prayer mat, I fell into a dream-like state. When I opened my eyes, the sage was gone. Impossible. You have to be kidding me. Such a rare opportunity, and you actually fell asleep? Rastin could not help but leap to his feet. Wang Zheng, oh Wang Zheng. How could I ever have thought well of your soft-bellied existence? Lai Xin felt let down. Lai Guang shook his head. You couldn't have entered a trance upon entering, could you? What trance? How do I explain this? It's an enigmatic dimension where time passes very quickly. Damn. It must have been. You've had good fortune. It's a pity you're not a disciple of the sage sect. Otherwise your future would have been unlimited and bright, solely based on this experience alone. Pity, pity. Wang Zheng smiled. To have such an experience is already a rare encounter. If I get the chance, I must thank the sage for his guidance. At this time, the two boys Little Red and Little White walked over. Senior, Sage has already left. You all can spend the night here. Little Red, did Sage leave any message for me? Lai Guang asked. Little Red shook his head slightly, then was struck by a thought. Oh, yes. When Sage was leaving, he said, fate comes and goes like water, flowers bloom and fade in their own time. The four of them looked at each other in dismay. Evidently, the sage had gone back to wander among the clouds. Although they were not sure how to make sense of what had happened, Wang Zheng's destiny was evidently entwined with the sage sect. Others might have found it difficult to sleep on such a night, but Wang Zheng dropped off immediately. He felt comfortable, relaxed, free of worry. His entire person was open and in harmony with everything. He had never experienced such a profound feeling so clearly before. Damn, this punk must have been born in the year of the pig. He really fell asleep, Lai Guang blurted out. Little brother Guang, what on earth just happened? Even a punk like this could be a chosen one? TCH, could it have been a mistake? Any way you look at it, I should have been the chosen one, Rastin said with a tinge of bitterness. Who knows, maybe it's just because he's from Earth. If it was something major, Sage would have definitely informed me, Lai Guang said. If this punk was important, the sage would definitely not leave him hanging without addressing the matter. That was not the way Sage handled things. Anyway, this punk sure came up lucky. Forget it. There's no point in overthinking things. Let's go to sleep. After standing for half the night, I'm beat. Lai Guang yawned. When they were standing there unable to talk, the three of them were bored out of their minds. Nights on the mountain were especially remote. While it was truly tranquil, it was too quiet for those who were used to bustle. To spend a day was heaven, to spend two would drive one mad. At the Argus space station, training was going on like wildfire. Achilles was expending enormous effort, clearly in an attempt to finish off everybody during the second stage. His thinking was correct. Rather than wasting energy on other aspects, why not hone one's own team until it was the strongest? Furthermore, he believed that such strength could secure a seat within the Milky Way alliance. Yazoo and his mercenaries had celebrated until only the whites of their teeth could be seen. Their mecha had been destroyed one after another. With the double compensation, not only could the mech depot be refurnished, it could be upgraded by a class or two. Procurements that were once considered with much nail-biting could now be ordered liberally without much thought along with munitions. In comparison, those like Masasi and Pai Xiaoxiu had tough days ahead. Those born with a silver spoon rarely tasted hardship like this. The 8 stars of the moon were all of high status. They succeeded in whatever they did, not just because of their status, but also due to their own abilities. Confidence, class, strength. This motto was carved into their very bones. Even during the IG training, they had lived by this maxim till the last. But here, everything was subverted. Losses, upsets, and more failures, successive failures. No one had even obtained a single victory at the hands of these mercenaries. This was also Achilles' wish. What others could see, he naturally saw as well. This was the only weak point of the moon contingent. Once this weakness was eliminated, surely no one was left who could stand as an opponent. The most recent encounter was Pai Xiaoxiu and a black-skinned mercenary who fought evenly. However, he was ultimately tricked and suffered a terrible loss. It was night time on the space station. Dong Xiaoxia and Pai Xiaoxiu were drinking gloomily. Recently, they had felt increasingly pent up and on the verge of losing it. These mercenaries do have some standard, but I can't stand their appearance. I really want to beat them up. Dong Xiaoxia took a swig of beer. For someone as hot-headed as he was, such restraint was already remarkable. Pai Xiaoxiu gave a short laugh. Losing was nothing to be afraid of. Neither was the tough training. However, these mercenaries came with foul mouths. During battle, they let loose with an endless stream of insults. Their crass nature was offensive to the moon contingent. Previously, no matter the opponent, everyone fought with a modicum of class, not like ruffians and gangsters. To be insulted and then beaten was hard to swallow for the moon contingent. Don't look at it so narrowly. Although they come with dirty mouths, we have definitely improved from sparring with them. I think it's not bad that Achilles arranged this. Pai Xiaoxiu was truly a good-natured one. Dong Xiaoxiu said nothing in reply and brooded over swigs of beer. After a long while, he suddenly said, "Even Milo has dark eye circles." Haha, so even you noticed? Looks like we're still not the most pitiful. Pai Xiaoxiu shrugged. Girls had it worse. He did not know what Achilles was thinking. These ruffians' tongues became even more malicious against females. In normal situations, they would have beaten them up. He understood Dong Xiaoxiu's gloom as well. In fact, this was what he was angriest about. If you like Milo, you'd better seize the opportunity. It looks like she's getting quite intimate with Masashi, Pai Xiaoxiu teased. Dong Xiaoxiu coughed and changed the subject. Tomorrow we must win one battle. Damn, I don't believe it. Pai Xiaoxiu shook his head smilingly. Too smooth a journey was actually not a good thing either. Although Achilles' spending this time around was extravagant, he supported and agreed with it. The rest amongst the 8 stars were not sleeping either. They were either analyzing and training alone, or grouped into 2s and 3s discussing and reflecting, dissecting the day's battles in various ways. However, everyone's opinions of the wolf spirit mercenaries were unanimous. In a word, sly. In 2 words, very sly. In 3 words, very, very sly. To sum it up in a phrase, they had never come across anyone who spoke so despicably. Time in the space station was always regulated tightly. A new day of training had begun. Power training, endurance training, physical strength training, the group of mercenaries watched them all from the sidelines. Pretty fast runner. Movements are precise too. Too bad it's just a pretty shell. Pitted against mecha, it's nothing but food. Ha 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 ha. The laughter was ceaseless. Everyone gritted their teeth and held back. This was provocation resistance training. It was certainly important in future battles, but knowing this did not lessen the anger in their hearts one whit. Achilles watched from the side, accompanied by the bald wolf king Yazo. Social favors were one thing, financial backers were something else. Furthermore, his subordinates were enjoying themselves thoroughly. Bullying a bunch of rookies with some level of gumption was also part of life's ups and downs. This transaction was indeed agreeable. Yazo bellowed once and the wolves at the side began preparations with a great clamor. They drew lots among themselves. Those who lost could only watch, while those who won earned the right to bully the rookies. As a bonus, there was much prize money to be won. Such easily earned money was a rare opportunity indeed. With a rumble, a brand new Hawk Scout-type mech stepped up and made a provocative gesture. This was the new mech type that Achilles had just bestowed to the troops. It truly felt amazing feeling. On the other side, the 8 stars of the moon were staring at the newly shipped-in mecha. Their model numbers were all over the place. The mecha were at most 60 or 70% new, and the armor was covered with bullet holes. Masashi smiled. Looks like the other side is treating us as a fat sheep sent to the slaughter again. Who's up? Milo silently chose a scout mech and was about to enter the arena, but Dong Xiaoxia was already a step ahead in activating a heavily armored Furnace-Stone type T-mech. Heavily armed with its specialized furnace systems, It had high defenses while simultaneously maintaining the agility of more balanced mecha. This brand of mech was widely regarded as the scout killer. Pai Xiaoxiu smiled mildly. Let Dong Xiaoxia try his hand first. He spent a sleepless night holding back until now. The wolf troops were undoubtedly good. They were veterans with experience. More crucially, they had no rules. In order to win, they would do anything. The reason why they continued to taunt the 8 stars was because they still regarded it as an effective tool. Dong Xiaoxia watched the opponent's provocation wordlessly. He unhurriedly adjusted the angle of his mech, inching forward. He then suddenly advanced in a burst of speed without warning. All right, but as a man it's better to slow down some, or you won't be able to satisfy the ladies. No wonder a pretty boy like you is still a virgin. With a rumble, Dong Xiaoxia charged forward with a burst of speed, springing his titanium blades outwards at the same time. The fastest straight jab coupled with a slight rotation of his mech. You see, I just said it and he's already frantic to close in. Brother, you're piloting a defensive counterattack type. I just said a few words about being a pretty boy. Women, you see, are pretty things for us to look at. Nope, I meant to hook up with. Men and gentlemen. From the Hawk Scout mech came lascivious laughter. Besides him, the mercenaries at the side were similarly making odd-sounding hoots and rumbling with laughter. This was publicly broadcasted and everybody could hear it. Despite his best resistance, Milo was so angry that her teeth itched. Her fist was clenched so tightly it turned white. Only Achilles' expression was unchanging. The so-called sun god turned a deaf ear. The Hawk mech sprung out its own titanium blades. It stood unexpectedly still in the face of the scout killer Fernastone, holding its titanium blade vertically towards it. Visually, it looked like a mantis stopping a cart. A very unwise decision. Although they were strong, surely the difference could not be so great? The mercenaries were clear that this bunch of youngsters had solid foundations but simply had not learned to master their emotions. To win easily, it was crucial to first infuriate them. The young cared about too many things. To these mercenaries who dealt with blood and death, survival alone was good enough. Many things could be given up, or more accurately, they did not have the ability to protect everything. He was facing the violent Dong Xiaoxia, however. Bang! The Hawk mech's titanium blades clashed briefly with Dong Xiaoxia's titanium blades. It retreated a step back, then the mech and blades rotated furiously towards the ground in a curious fashion. Dong Xiaoxia's Fernastone mech momentarily lost its balance. As though its legs had been suddenly tied, it teetered dangerously, narrowly avoiding crashing on the floor. How could this be? The scout killer Fernastone and the violent Dong Xiaoxia bringing his mech to 120% of its potential. No matter the adversary's experience, a light revolution should not have been able to disperse Dong Xiaoxia's attack so easily. Pai Xiaoxiu shook his head in frustration. Although he had to remain cool before a battle, it was getting to him. If he was fighting instead, there was a good chance he would not have been much better. Bald-head Yazo glanced at the unperturbed Achilles and teased, "Are you really not worried? If this continues, their psyches could be scarred forever. You might lose more than you gain. If I might add, the sprouts are growing well, but if you force them beyond their limits, it might not be a good thing." The corner of Achilles' mouth was set coldly, as if irked by the obvious. If they could not even overcome this small obstacle, how could they talk about fighting the galaxy? As for the wolf spirit mercenaries, they were still calling out with unnatural noises. Dong Xiaoxia adjusted slightly, pausing for a beat to correct his stance. Then he rushed forward again. This time, he composed his emotions, his judgment and operations unaffected by his fury. Bang! However, the straight-charging Fernastone mech was again stopped by the Hawk Scout mech's curious rotating maneuver. Confounded by its light movements, it fell stumbling. This time it fell heavily, directly onto the ground, unable to stabilize its center. The rotating dispersal robbed Dong Xiaoxia of his balance. Furthermore, it was a forcing move. If Dong Xiaoxia wanted to stay on the defense, his core would be attacked by his opponent and he would lose immediately. The only option was to continue taking punishing falls. Ha ha ha, a chorus of laughter rang out from the mercenaries. What a poor showing, oh my, the same move twice, and worse off the second time. 8 stars of the moon, ha ha ha, how about changing their names to 8 cabbages of the moon? Get a move on, Lao Shu. Finish it. I'm still waiting for the new fish to come on. I call dibs on that moon wench. Kiki, that moon wench is not bad, careful she doesn't poach your moves. Pshaw. My skills in bed are even better. Dong Xiaosa's anger had burst past his limit.
All of you, shut up. Dong Xiaosa bellowed, silencing all voices in an instant. After a short pause, the laughter redoubled. Cabbages can talk too.
I thought it was mute. At last it speaks. Lao Shu, you know what to do. Stop playing around. With a loud rumble, Dong Xiaosa's Fernastone mech fired up in an instant, its speed exceeding its limits. Squad leader Baldhead laughed. There he goes again, losing his composure. To leave no reserve power is to ask for trouble. In battle, to push a mech to its limits without leaving energy in reserve meant sacrificing all other methods. Against a weaker opponent, this was a surefire method to win, but against a stronger opponent, to lose the option of correction was to become a sitting duck that was no different from an inanimate object.
However, as soon as he said those words, squad leader Baldhead's smile froze in place on his face. He suddenly bellowed, Lao Shu, run. Run. What? To ask Lao Shu to run. Had the squad leader gone mad? To say something so bereft of reason? Bang! Lao Shu was startled, but there was no time to dwell on this. The fully powered Fernastone mech was bearing down on his position. Titanium blades. Useless, and it was a direct attack. A chill suddenly struck Lao Shu's heart. From the mech's substance G conductor, an impending sense of danger approached. Titanium blades in line with the mech's rotation, dispersal. This time he gave no quarter and simultaneously extended his other mech arm in preparation to fire his railgun.
Bang! Lao Shu was knocked over and flew away, crashing heavily onto the floor.
Had the dispersing rotation lost its effectiveness?
That could not have been the case. Lao Shu's skills were impeccable. It was impossible that the mercenaries would make such a mistake. Those who made such mistakes were long dead. In fact, Dong Xiaosa's charging power had surpassed the maximum dispersive power of the Hawk Scout mech. But how could that be? Logically, the maximum power output of the Fernastone mech was within the boundaries of Lao Shu's dispersion technique. Boom! The Fernastone mech emitted a curious light and leapt towards the Hawk mech sprawled on the ground, a heavy fist aimed directly at the cockpit.
An unstoppable, violent killing intent. The mercenaries watching from the sidelines had their mouths shut for the first time. They stared suspiciously at the scene of lighting and flint. The rookie impression had vanished, swelling in an instant to become a demon from hell. Bald-head Yazo's complexion was green. That little bastard was actually an Ability X user.
Damn Achilles, why had he not said so earlier? But when he turned his head, he realized that Achilles had disappeared from his side. How could he have appeared there? He was at his side but a second ago. Was he mad? No matter how strong, how could flesh and bone stop a mech? And furthermore, it was a Berserk Ability X user. If things went badly, not just the wolf spirits, but the entire space station would die alongside them. Dong Xiaosa's eyes were red-rimmed. His ability was power. Unlike Zhang Runnan's, his was the ability to go berserk and gain immense strength while letting his instincts take control. Like the berserker of legend, he was an extremely horrifying killer on the battlefield. The Dong Xiaosha at that moment was putting his utmost effort into killing his opponent. At that moment, Achilles was still a distance away from the mecha, when suddenly a flash of golden light appeared.
Bang! An awesome punch smashed into the ground and debris flew, creating a huge fissure. After a long while, the hatch door opened. An ashamed Dong Xiaosa emerged from the cockpit. Boss, I know I was wrong. Achilles eyed Dong Xiaosa and surveyed the crowd. I know everyone must be gloomy in this period of time. However, we will face even stronger opponents in the future. It may be Aslan, or Atlantis, or the Arbiter Republic, or other such strong opponents. If we cannot even maintain a modicum of self-control, we will lose without doubt. The purpose of this trip is not only to accumulate experience, but also to discipline the character. I believe that you are all capable of this.
As he said this, he smiled genially at Dong Xiaosha. All right, since you manned up to your mistake. Forget about this small matter, but remember that this will be the first and last time. Be serious in the training from now on.
Yes, sir. Everyone was revived by this. Achilles' words had struck a chord with them. He was right. Their conduct had honestly been too poor. Their target was nothing less than the Milky Way Alliance. The solar system IG was in the bag already. After he finished speaking, Achilles turned and walked in front of Yazo. This one doesn't count. Let's continue. Yazo's expression was a little stiff. Damn, he thought that these were rookies, but they were actually a bunch of madmen. He saw that his own squad members were spooked, especially by the gaze in Achilles' eyes. They looked at him as though he were a monster. What guts he had, to dare to stop a mech with nothing but his flesh and blood.
Although they had all suspected Achilles was a freakish existence, no one expected it to be at such a degree. It was beginning to look like their pay this time around was going to be hard-earned. These brats, who knew what kind of opponents they anticipated facing, if they started to prepare at this level, they would surely become undefeatable in the solar system. Wang Zheng and the rest had left the Sage sect. The trip had been special to both Wang Zheng and Rastin, even though Rastin had not met the Sage leader. The change in Lai Xin's and Lai Guang's attitudes towards Wang Zheng was apparent. To have earned a meeting with the sect leader marked Wang Zheng as tied to their destiny. And since an entwined fate with the Sage sect meant a close relation to Mars, so their conversation had become even more relaxed than before. Wang Zheng, looks like you did right to treat us to a concert. It feels like we've had the short end of the stick so far, Lai Guang said. That Lin Weiyan is definitely going to be a beauty when she grows up. Kiki, Lai Guang, I won't allow any perverted notions towards my goddess, Rastin declared. TCH. What's the appeal of a little carrot top like her? I prefer the sexy alluring types. Lai Guang disdained. At the hotel, everyone separated. In the end, Xiao Fei did not tell Wang Zheng off. Truth be told, Xiao Fei felt a little bad as well. Wang Zheng himself had a clear goal, and for him to agree to help in this task was already nice of him. There was no real need for him to force himself to enter these meaningless activities.
Discussion was often fruitless, and it was but a formality, although these formalities were sometimes a necessity. Xiao Fei also did not take it too seriously. Attending Wei Yan's concert was a given, and she couldn't take the reservation for granted.
Everyone was meeting for the first time. Although it was Lai Xin, Lai Guang, and Rastin's first time meeting Xiao Fei, her reputation had preceded her. Furthermore, faced with such a pretty and sophisticated lady, Lai Guang's gaze burned brightly and he kept up a constant stream of flattery. Xie Yachting was understandably curious about the Sage sect and chattered non-stop, asking questions. When they arrived, the concert hall entrance was already packed with a huge crowd. Many fans had turned up to the venue despite not securing tickets, in the hope that someone would rescind their seat. The entire place was plastered with banners of Lin Weiyan, and the plaza was filled with all sorts of souvenir shops. This level of popularity was indeed unprecedented. Visiting monks give better sermons. Is she really that popular? Lai Xin was also astonished. Weiyan's voice is indeed wonderful. Furthermore, Aslan is currently influencing the mainstream trends, so her popularity is to be expected.
The international mainstream trends had always been influenced by the powerful countries. Currently it was the interstellar that enjoyed popularity. People had always harbored great ambition in their hearts, and the greats had always been equated with the excellent.
Damn. No way. Rastin gasped, looking at the theater box. He sized Wang Zheng up with wonder. You're always full of pleasant surprises. It's unbelievable.
Rastin, were you dropped on your head as a kid? What are you getting all flustered for? Stupid, this is Wei Yan's personal box. Do you think just anybody could use it? Didn't I tell you that Lai Guang, however unreliable, is still quite good at duping people at times? No way meant no way. Could it be you were communicating directly with Lin Weiyan? Rastin gaped. Wang Zheng nodded grudgingly. Rastin leapt forward and seized Wang Zheng's hand. Brother, look at the destiny that binds us. I brought you to see the Sage sect, now you have to help me get acquainted with Wei Yan. Lai Xin and Lai Guang exchanged glances. Where could this kid be from? Could he really be someone special? Don't make things difficult for Wang Zheng now. The last time Lin Weiyan came to Earth, we secured a student from the Ares College's tour guide, and Wang Zheng came to know her then.
Lai Xin and the rest found this reasonable. It would otherwise be impossible for these two people to meet, considering their widely different paths in life. Looking at it another way, Wei Yan must have valued her relationships a lot to have let her own private box out. Rastin and Xie Yachting started to feel that Wei Yan not only had a cute appearance, but her personality was equally charming.
Held to the highest standard in the galaxy, Lin Weiyan's voice brought the concert to a crescendo. The emotionally charged developments filled everyone's hearts as they gazed upon the cute princess's earnest performance.
The fans burst into an unstoppable torrent of cheers. For such a tender voice to have touched people's hearts only made the response stronger than ever.
Inside the box, Rastin and the rest had also been intoxicated by her voice, made all the more evocative by the atmosphere which drew them in.
This would forever be the unrivaled power of live concerts. Although Wang Jung liked it, he was not a die-hard fan, so he simply sat back to relax and enjoy the experience. When the concert ended, the fans were not yet satiated. Their cheers and catcalls lingered incessantly. In this regard, Lai Xin was the same as Wang Jung. Although she liked the music, she was not crazy about it. Except the two, however, the rest were in a fervor. Amazing. I can't wait to see what happens when she grows up, Lai Guang declared. Rastin clapped Lai Guang on the shoulder and bared his teeth. You bastard, dishonor to my goddess will not be tolerated. Lai Guang could not resist needling him. Rastin, your IQ is diminishing.
Although the Lai family members were formidable in their own right, courting a princess of Aslan was improbable, if not impossible. Lai Guang was simply accustomed to running his mouth. Xiao Fei and Xie Yachting had hit it off well. Even the professor had let her mature and reserved bearing fall, and they chattered excitedly. This concert would be broadcasted on various major television networks in the solar system. The publicity could not be helped. Even though Lin Weiyan did not flaunt her status as princess, once it became common knowledge, she had transcended the identity of a mere singer. It was rumored that her rapid climb to such a high level had made some of her rivals give up their careers.
To treat this as a career and go up against a princess who saw it as a mere interest, that would be ignorance of one's strengths. Although Lin Weiyan circulated in the entertainment circles, besides a few lyricists and composers, she did not actually know many people. She could not be bothered with them. She had never been to award presentations and would never go to one either. She did not care about all those things. She simply liked music and to share it. Besides, she did not know how much time she had left to play around, and this time was precious. Rastin and Xie Yachting were the happiest. This trip to Mars had been bountiful and rewarding. Just as they were about to disperse, the doors opened and a hush fell over the entire box theater. It was Lin Weiyan, who had just descended the stage. She had not even had time to change her clothes. Xiao Fei was the first to rush forward. Weiyan, you were so wonderful. You must come to Earth again. Lin Weiyan smiled. I want to go too, teacher Xiao Fei, but likewise, ever since you returned to Earth, you haven't visited Aslan either. Rastin was racked with nerves and rummaged his person fervently, looking for something. Xie Yachting stepped forward.
Your Highness Weiyan, I am your most loyal fan. Please give me an autograph. Xie Yachting burst out excitedly.
Rastin could not find something suitable, but a brainwave struck him. Your Highness Weiyan, please sign my shirt. Lin Weiyan was naturally pleased. This was definitely an unexpected surprise. No one in their wildest dreams would think that Lin Weiyan would come here. Lai Guang was about to step forward at this point, but he was blocked by Rastin. Your Highness Weiyan, this rascal is a pervert. Please keep your distance from him.
Lai Guang did not know whether to laugh or cry. Your Highness Weiyan, I'm Lai Guang. Welcome to Mars. If there is time, please allow me to extend you hospitality as a host. Mars has beautiful sights and many places worth a visit. Lai Xin was of an indifferent nature, but faced with such a charming girl, she was hard-pressed to not like her. However, she would not be as unreserved as these others. From the side, Wang Jung stood unperturbed.
This fellow really knew how to fake it. Wang Jung, you shouldn't pass up such a good opportunity, Lai Xin said. His acting was really top class.
Lin Weiyan smiled in reply. Thank you, Mr. Lai. Mars is a beautiful place, and I will not pass up on it. However, I have already found a tour guide.
Ah, that's a pity. Lai Guang felt a pang of regret. Wang Zheng, come here. I have business with you. Lin Weiyan's voice lost its geniality with Wang Zheng. Wang Zheng started. This wench, was she not going to at least try and conceal it? She did not have the bearing of a star at all. Faced with Wang Zheng's hesitation, Lin Weiyan dragged Wang Zheng by the collar towards the exit without further explanation. It's been a pleasure to meet everyone, goodbye. The entire box theater was quiet. They watched blankly as Wang Zheng was dragged out. Lai Guang rubbed his face. This makes no sense. I'm a few tiers of handsome above him. You're all brawn and no brains. Xie Yachting could not resist snapping. Kiki, teacher Xiao Fei, do you have time? I wonder if I may have the honor of bringing you to admire the night view of Jipu. Lai Guang clearly had built up a thick skin through experience. He turned towards Xiao Fei with a charming smile. Xiao Fei unleashed a dazzling smile. Little boy, older sister here prefers the mature type. Yachting, do drop by and visit Aries College when you're free. And left Lai Guang behind with his mouth gaping. Little boy, how was he little? He was big everywhere. Rastin, what kind of connections does this Wang Zheng have? I'm not too sure either. I only met him at the IG as well. I thought we would get along pretty well. Yachting, aren't you very close with him? He's Xiao Fei's student. He's the brightest physicist in the Milky Way Alliance. He's really smart. Xie Yachting really wanted to praise Wang Zheng a little. Lai Guang and the rest exchanged glances. What use was this? To have the Aslan princess hanging on your arm, it was useless to be the best in the universe, let alone a physicist with a bright future. That little kid really is something else, Lai Xin said. This kid had been a never-ending source of surprises, almost as though it was on purpose. They could not figure him out. Forget it. It won't do to pry too deeply into the private matters of others, especially since we rode his coattails of fortune. Lai Guang, you better prepare well. This IG may not be as easy as you think, Rastin said. TCH, isn't it just you 5 heavenly kings? Lowly me is quaking in his boots. Please spare my life, Lai Guang teased. Lai Xin was still brimming with confidence. Rastin, if we join forces, we would have a chance of victory even against Achilles himself. Not to mention that Li who's idling at the side, who claims the victory remains undecided. Rastin nodded. What do you say we combine our strength with Wang Zheng? The Aries College students are actually forces to be reckoned with. Forget it for the moment. He doesn't even have ability X, which is crucial. Neither does he have much status. Zhang Runan can be considered though, we need power types like her. A woman? Leave it up to me. Lai Guang smirked. A name like Runan definitely belonged to a girl.
Rastin looked blank for a second, then let out a laugh. You can't handle a woman like her. More accurately, she's your nemesis. Damn, a woman I can't handle. Rastin, how dare you look down on a god of love like myself? Lai Xin also laughed. Little Lai Guang, if you can handle her, I'll start calling you elder brother. The situation was beginning to dawn on Lai Guang, and he wilted a little. What kind of monster is this? Alright, I'm suitably terrified.
Wang Zheng had been dragged by Weiyan into the recess room, while Angela stood guard at the door. Wang Zheng shrugged himself free of Lin Weiyan. Your Highness, your status is different now. You have to carry yourself more carefully. Peesh, you fussy thing. You can't chase my cousin if you can't even assume responsibility for this much.
Wang Zheng secretly thought that these were completely separate matters. She clearly knew that she was in the public eye but still invited suspicion from Lai Guang and the others. She really was nothing but trouble. Of course, perhaps Lin Weiyan wanted to help raise his status in the eyes of others. But Wang Zheng knew exactly what kind of person he was. His friends respected him not because of his connections, but simply for who he was. Is Aina well? This was what Wang Zheng was concerned about.
Of course she's fine. But you two really are something special, huh? I guess absence makes the heart grow fonder, and this distance is really something. I hear you arranged to meet during the IG main competition at Aslan?
Wei Yan asked curiously. Wang Zheng nodded. The main competition of IG will be held in Aslan this time around.
Can you do it? Lin Weiyan eyed Wang Zheng. She had heard from Angela before, regarding the difference in standards between the solar system and Earth. Wang Jung sat silently for a beat, then smiled. I will definitely go to Aslan. Did Aina say anything else? Am I really that boring to talk to? Cousin said to take care of her little sister, who is the cutest thing on earth. Lin Weiyan pouted. Wang Jung shrugged with irritation. He wanted to counter that it was his first time on Mars as well. Furthermore, how could Weiyan have no one else by her side? But he swallowed his annoyance. Quarreling with a kid did nothing but lower his own IQ. Don't give me that reluctant look. I have a plan, Lin Weiyan announced enigmatically. She beckoned him closer with a crook of her finger while watching the door. I heard Jipu has a fallen paradise. I want to go and see. I heard it's home to the most colorful individuals of Mars. Wang Jung was taken aback. He had heard of the place before. The larger planets varied in the strictness of their regulations. Mars had a bit more latitude, and this fallen paradise was shady. It had all kinds of unsavory characters. The most famous of these attractions was the cage match, where the sole objective was to defeat the opponent, no boundaries, no limits. It was crazy, and it attracted challengers from all walks of life. This type of activity was virtually non-existent on Earth and the Moon, but it was a huge attraction on Mars. The place perked Wang Jung's interest too, but it was definitely not a place for the likes of Lin Weiyan. Wang Jung shook his head firmly. You cannot go. Oh, don't be so stodgy. I confided such an important matter to you as an indication of my trust. I'm definitely going, even if you are not. You're not allowed to tell anyone, or else, Fufu, my potential to wreak havoc is nothing to sneeze at. Lin Weiyan threatened Wang Jung with the menace of a tiger cub. Wang Jung said exasperatedly, that's not the point here. That place isn't safe. Be prudent and don't go, or if you must, bring enough bodyguards. That's none of your business, Lin Weiyan pouted. This fellow just did not get it. One had to be adventurous when one was young. How could a military school elite be afraid of this and that? Wang Jung understood Lin Weiyan's disdain, but he merely smiled. If he had been alone, things would have been fine, but Lin Weiyan tagging along was an entirely different matter. Furthermore, he was unfamiliar with the fallen paradise and was mentally unprepared. If he dared to guarantee her safety under such circumstances, he would not be Wang Jung. Putting it plainly, it was moronic and foolhardy. Thanks for today. My friends really enjoyed themselves. At night at 10. I'll wait for you at the back door of the hotel. If you don't come, I'll go alone, Lin Weiyan shot in parting as she left. Wang Jung called out grudgingly, Hey, where are you going? To change. Do you want to come? Her huffiness was still clear in her voice. Wang Jung shook his head with frustration. This was why Aina was much better, she didn't have that princess-like temperament. Upon returning to his own room, he saw that Xiao Fei had left a message. Because it was a vacation period, Wang Jung could choose to stay for 2 more days before returning, on the conditional promise to stay safe. This type of teacher was the best. Xiao Fei did not restrict him like a child. Because training was ongoing, Wang Jung had intended to depart on the day after the concert, but Weiyan's words made him pause. To be honest, he was not too familiar with Lin Weiyan's personality, besides some limited interaction in his time with Aina. Aina always did things with a measure of composure. While Weiyan looked cute and compliant on the outside, it was mostly an act. Would she really sneak off to the fallen paradise by herself? In her room, Weiyan had already finished her preparations. Her bundle had everything she needed. It was prepared in advance before she came to Mars. Her cuteness and compliance were merely a pretense that allowed her to seek even greater freedom. At heart, Lin Weiyan was filled with an adventurous spirit, and she was at an age where her rebelliousness was peaking. Angela would definitely have to be left behind. While she was not opposed to turning a blind eye at times, such matters were definitely out of the question. If she was reported, her carefree days were over. Fallen Paradise. The name itself carried the promise of exhilarating risk. How fallen and depraved was it, exactly? Your Highness, your orders? It's all right now. I'm tired and I want to sleep. You should rest early tonight as well. We are leaving early tomorrow back for Aslan. Yes, Your Highness, Angela said. Half an hour later, when Lin Weiyan felt certain that Angela had left, She briskly completed changing her attire. She changed to comfortable clothes and even put on a blue wig. She had long wanted to try out this disguise, but she would have been readily denounced on Aslan. A life of nothing but elegance was so sickening. After stealthily opening the door, she slipped out quiet as a mouse. Wang Jung intended not to heed her, but what if that wench really went to show off and something happened to her? He would not be able to rest with a clear conscience. Maybe he could contact Angela, but he did not have a way to contact her. Maybe he could. Heaving a deep sigh, Wang Jung dressed appropriately. At 10 p.m., a little shadow pounced on Wang Jung the instant he appeared. I knew you would come. You did well. In exchange, I'll help you out with my cousin. Lin Weiyan's voice was filled with joy and anticipation. Wang Jung eyed Weiyan's disguise. She looked like a female gangster, and what kind of hairstyle was that? Cool, isn't it? I've been dying to try this out. She was spitting with excitement. These things would never go well, let alone spraying spittle in public. Wang Jung said, all right, we can go, but we can't go crazy. We'll just take a quick look and come back. Yeah, you nag like an old man. Quit yammering, let's go. Lin Weiyan dragged Wang Jung off. Well, since he had already committed, might as well enjoy the ride. Besides, Wang Jung really wanted to see a cage match as well. The Fallen Paradise was not actually in the suburbs, but rather located in the seedier district in Jipu. It was apparent that little Weiyan had done her research properly. The income disparity between the affluent and the poor was larger on Mars compared to the rest of the Solar System Federation. The architecture here was more dilapidated. A rotten stench and crowd noise filled the air, and the walls were covered in lewd graffiti. Lin Weiyan took it all in with interest. Such things were non-existent on Aslan, and every place only sought to show its best side off. Looks fun, doesn't it? Wang Jung, why do you think they vandalize the walls instead of putting their art on a canvas? Weiyan asked curiously. Wang Jung was taken aback at her innocent question. These aren't exactly paintings, more like a form of release. It must be. They're full of dissatisfaction and pent-up emotions. At the corner of the street between two large skyscrapers, the crowd swelled. The decor had also become more hip. The Fallen Paradise opened once every hour after 8 p.m. In the crowd, Lin Weiyan was still clearly excited. Her disguise would let her through, although Wang Jung had no idea where she found that wig. But he was not here to play, he had to ensure Weiyan's safety. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fallen Paradise. Here you can enjoy thrills and wonders never seen before. The large metal doors opened with a rumble. The youngsters waiting outside crowded through in a frenzy. Wang Jung and Lin Weiyan were carried in by the crowd as well. Wang Jung tried his best to block the surrounding people from getting too close. Lin Weiyan remained eager. If it was not for Wang Jung in the way, she might have been the one jostling forward. The throughway was purposely dimmed for effect. After about 10 minutes, light began to appear ahead. In front of the crowd's eyes was a place that was dressed up like a cave. It looked like a place for primitive cavemen. The place was filled with laughter and fire. Sexy women strutted around the place. The wild activities of the Martians was known to Wang Jung and the rest. They had spoken of it in their dormitories, calling it a man's heaven. They had thought it was exaggeration, but it seemed as though the reality lived up to its legends. It seemed like a bad place for Weiyan to be. It seemed like a primitive-themed carnival. Quite a few men and women were dressed in animal skins, in sync with the decor. The place really expressed wildness. The Fallen Paradise was also a huge trade center. The trade revenue here made up a tenth of Jipu's total, and it was bustling. People came here to enjoy themselves to the fullest, and under such an atmosphere, impulsive purchases were common. Of course, the goods sold here were not found in common markets. Cheers and hoots could be heard everywhere. Cage matches were everywhere, not just in one place. Each cage was surrounded by people. Some sported weapons, while others chose to go without. Not far from them, a person was being beaten to a pulp, spraying the air with flesh and blood. His opponent showed no signs of letting up. He aimed a flying kick at his face. A tooth fell to the floor. His entire skull was a mess of flesh and blood. Weiyan clutched Wang Jung's shirt in terror. Her earlier enthusiasm had vanished in an instant. She found the notion of going wild an interesting one, but gore was something else. That person has already surrendered. Why would he still continue beating him? He might have died, Lin Weiyan said. Wang Jung was unsure of how to handle her naivety. This was a cage match, which followed the rules of the underground. All who entered the arena signed a contract of life and death. Either kill or be killed. Wanton release, wild abandonment, the place was intensely charged with emotions. It showed the primitive side of mankind. Perhaps in the day, some of these people walked the streets in suits and leather shoes, but for this moment, they were no more than primal beasts. Wang Jung was a little excited. He had always been sensitive to the emotions in the environment. He was tempted to drop his composure, but he checked his emotions. Weiyan, let's go. Wang Jung turned around, only to realize that Weiyan had already moved toward the cage matches and even entered the arena. The cage door was not locked, because no one in their right mind would open it, unless it was a clueless girl. Stop hitting him, he'll die, he's already surrendered. Lin Weiyan said. The gladiator towered at over 2 meters in height. He let out a cold, thin smile. Wench, this isn't your playground. He swatted towards her carelessly. Lin Weiyan had some foundations in dance and was able to respond quickly. However, he still managed to brush her, and the wig fell to the floor, revealing her lustrous golden hair as she fell to the floor. Wang Jung caught Weiyan. This girl sure could attract trouble, he thought to himself. He was about to leave when he realized that the door had been shut by the onlookers outside. A new round will now begin. Let's see how Fang deals with these two tender young prey. One per punch, probably. I can't wait to see it. The onlookers had worked themselves into a twisted frenzy. Entering the cage meant battle. No one checked or cared who you were. Fang stared at Lin Weiyan with his huge eyes. His gaze was filled with desire, as though he wanted to crush her. Lin Weiyan raised her fists gamely. She tried her best to meet his gaze and appear unintimidated. She was a princess of Aslan, and there was nothing to be afraid of. However, her small frame was quivering, and Wang Jung knew she could not handle herself. He gently pulled her behind himself. Everything's fine. Close your eyes and don't look. Raucous laughter rang out from around him. Wang Jung was not even 20 years of age, and his stature was dwarfed by his opponents. Also, those who had earned a nickname from fighting in the cage were by no means rookies. Runt, you and her are both mine. I'll crush you first, then enjoy her. The number of onlookers swelled, curious as to who had been foolish enough to enter the cage. After watching macho types go at it for so long, this new spectacle was something to behold. In close quarters combat, this bunch of fighters could probably outclass many specially trained elite warriors. Wang Jung knew that he had to finish this quickly and decisively. Fang's huge fists darted towards Wang Jung. At this moment, he sensed danger, so he instinctively ducked, but Wang Jung had already slipped through his guard. Bang! With a deafening sound like an avalanche, Fang flew out and crashed directly into the cage with a clatter. The entire arena was stunned, then they broke out into even more frenzied hoots. Who knew that this runt was actually trained in martial arts? Wang Jung's blow packed considerable strength, but his opponent merely spat out a mouthful of blood and stood back up. Fang wiped his mouth, and his face contorted even further. Little brat, you aren't totally helpless, I'll give you that. Rest easy, I won't let you die painlessly. As he taunted, he beat his chest savagely. This person was almost definitely on steroids. Almost all cage fighters used them. When faced with the prospect of death every day, these were small matters. The kick should have crippled a normal opponent's ability to fight. Fang rushed towards Wang Jung like a berserker, lashing out with a foot. Wang Jung had no way to dodge it, because Weiyan was standing directly behind him. And there was no need to dodge anyway. Bang! Everyone was open-mouthed with astonishment. Fang's kick had actually been blocked. This kid who looked like he would be destroyed in an instant had actually blocked the kick, and with ease. He had not moved back so much as an inch, although the recoil alone would probably have been enough to crush the cute loli behind him to death. Lin Weiyan was still clutching Wang Jung's shirt with one hand. This little wench, she was still peeking through the gaps of her fingers. Fang became even more malevolent. Damn bastard, what strength. His many years of cage fighting experience told him that this brat was no easy opponent. Suddenly, his hand brushed his back and he darted in, knife stabbing towards Wang Zheng. He had another dagger sheathed against his thigh. This was a violation of the rules. Either both sides used weapons or went without, but who cared at this point? Survival was king. Wang Zheng's only option was to dodge, but he could not do it. Bloodthirsty eagerness exuded from the crowd around him. If he did not sidestep the blow, he would be beheaded. If he did, the beautiful girl behind him would be cut to death. It was such a waste, but what a beautiful feeling. Wang Zheng blocked the knife with his right arm without hesitation. Ping. Fang wanted to behead his opponent, to think he would be foiled, however, his knife had bitten deep into the bone. Wang Zheng's face was expressionless, as though the one being cut was someone else. He took advantage of his opponent's surprise to cut through his guard. With a low grunt, he landed a solid punch on his opponent. This time he did not hold back. Although there was no sound, Fang's eyes bulged. Wang Zheng took a step back and walked to the edge of the cage. He could not count on these people to open the cage. Furthermore, he was out of time. It was possible that Wei Yan could be recognized at any moment. "What's wrong, Fang? Did you play around too much yesterday? What is this fellow doing?" Screech. The metal cage had been torn apart to create a hole. The onlookers fell into a hush, shocked by the scene in front of their eyes. At this point, Wang Zheng seemed especially formidable. He flung the lock aside and kicked the door down. Pulling Lin Weiyan after him, he walked towards the outside. Nobody dared to stop him. They had noticed Fang's chest, which was completely caved in. In the moment where he had kicked open the door, Fang had collapsed onto the floor. It seemed as though there were people running towards them from a distance. No matter who it was, it could not be a good thing. Wang Zheng hugged Wei Yan with his left hand and ran for the exit. This time, Wei Yan made no objection and obeyed without a sound. Indeed, people were clustering around. Wang Zheng was a typical troublemaker case who had violated the rules. To the management of the Fallen Paradise, this type of person had to be investigated. Wang Zheng did not care, but Wei Yan could not be exposed. Furthermore, she was Ana's younger sister. Anyone who got in the way was flung to the side unceremoniously by Wang Zheng, unhindered by the wound on his right arm. As they rushed out, things were in a complete mess. Wang Zheng read the tempo perfectly, surveying the situation unfolding around them. When they were close to the entrance, the pursuers began to slow down, clearly intending to give up. Once they had left the Fallen Paradise and returned to the outside world, they had to follow the rules of the outside. Clearly, troublemaking in the Fallen Paradise was no unusual thing. No one took any notice of Wang Zheng or Lin Weiyan. Wang Zheng only let Wei Yan go when they had left the place far behind. He shrugged out of his shirt and used it to bandage his arm. Lin Weiyan stared at his bloody arm and could not repress a shudder. Sorry, Wei Yan did not know how to say it. She had only wanted to experience a different world. She had no idea that the world outside her sheltered existence was so completely different. Wang Zheng eyed Lin Weiyan and laughed. "For what?" Lin Weiyan was surprised. "You're not going to get mad at me?" "Why would I get mad at you? Just because you caused some inconvenience," Wang Zheng smiled. Wei Yan nodded abashedly. "It's nothing. I wanted to look around the Fallen Paradise myself too. All in all, it was pretty exciting, haha." Others normally did not understand Wang Zheng's attitude. Every once in a while, his bloodthirst would accumulate, but he always managed it carefully. Bonehead's training was calibrated for warriors on the battlefield, and in this peaceful period, he did not want to become a killer demon. However, an occasional release like this was cathartic. Lin Weiyan stared blankly at Wang Zheng. When they were on the run, she had been regretting her decision every step of the way. She was dreading the scolding from Wang Zheng, which she thought was inevitably coming. Throughout her life, her rebellious acts had always been chastised for hours on end. "Why are you looking at me like that? If I were you, I'd bring bodyguards the next time I wanted to do something like that. Risky fun is good and all, but safety comes first." As he said it, he patted her head affectionately. She must have been scared out of her wits. Lin Weiyan nodded. She looked at his arm and blurted out, "It's bleeding again. Let's get you to the hospital." Wang Zheng waved it off. "Small matter. I've had worse injuries during IG training. I'll take care of it myself once I get back to the hotel. Lin Weiyan bit her lip, hesitating. Thanks, Wang Jung responded with a smile. Off with you then. Thanks to you, I feel younger again. Lin Weiyan couldn't resist responding. You're not much older than me to begin with. He took Lin Weiyan back. From the looks of it, she wouldn't be running off by herself anytime soon. The more you forbade children from doing something, the more they wanted to do it. What they needed was an experience that trumped any amount of lecturing. Mars was still a pretty formidable place. That punk's fighting ability was something fierce. Back in his room, he opened the first aid box and used antiseptic to clean his wound with a practiced hand. This was a matter of course to Wang Jung. Wounds were nothing but pain, and in the matter of enduring pain, Wang Jung was exceptional. It was at these times that one needed to rest most. Wang Jung quickly fell into a deep sleep, speeding up his body's recovery. This trip to Mars had been full of surprises. Lin Weiyan crept back to her room, where Angela was already waiting at the door. When she saw Weiyan come back safely, she heaved a sigh of relief. She was so sure the princess would not be able to sneak out, but she had slipped out even under her watchful eye. Lin Weiyan closed the door on Angela without a word. With her back to the door, the little princess let out a smile. She was beginning to understand why her cousin liked this guy so much. He was special. Maybe she should help them out a little. Weiyan wanted to leave a message for Wang Jung. It was mostly to tell him that in the future, if he had anything he wanted to tell Aina, he could just send her a Skylink message. She would pass the message on to Aina immediately. After thinking over things for a bit, she went to take a bath. Hugging her teddy bear, she entered a blissful dream. This experience was both harrowing and intense. It felt just like a movie. Zhang Shan was very hardworking. He had attained the fabled space-time type ability X. It was incredibly awesome. However, after that incident, Zhang Shan was unable to utilize the ability again. He had no idea why this was the case. It was all like a dream. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan wanted to help out. However, their situations were not the same. Once they had awakened their abilities, their ability X's could be used as easily as breathing. This perhaps was due to the way their ability X's were awakened. However, they couldn't just try and stab Zhang Shan to death again. If he was mentally prepared for it, this would not work anymore. They had to leave it up to him to reawaken his abilities. How about we reenact the scene and see if you can get a feel for it, Meng Tian said. This was honestly the only option they had. I think this might be possible. We will just mock fight and see if Zhang Shan can remember the feeling he had then. Zhang Shan, use that big brain of yours to try and recollect, Zhang Runan said profoundly. Zhang Shan scratched his head. He had already been conditioned to her insults. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan entered their mecha. They would try to mimic the last battle as much as possible. At the same time, they hoped that Zhang Shan would remember what using the ability X felt like. Zhang Shan was not focused on the mock fight. Instead, he was searching for the feeling he had felt that day. The feeling which allowed him to warp through space-time. Bang! Meng Tian and Zhang Runan approached each other. Titanium blades clashed and sparks flew. Zhang Shan's eyes turned sharp. It was this very moment. Kong! Zhang Shan's entire body's muscles swelled up. All his energy swelled up to a tipping point. Let me warp. Kong Kong Kong. Ah ah ah. Gua gua gua. Oh oh oh. In the training ground, the two who had been fighting suddenly stopped. They turned and began to observe Zhang Shan, who was standing on the stage. Looking at him screaming strange sounds, the two were puzzled. Was he trying to act out a joke? Zhang Shan jumped a few times vigorously, trying to mimic his movements from before. His face was flushed red from his exertions. It was good that he had not fainted from restraining his breath. With such a comical scene in front of them, Zhang Runan and Meng Tian were unable to continue fighting. They erupted into unrestrained laughter. Zhang Shan was helpless. Could it be that his ability was short-lived? He even wanted to show Wang Jung his ability when he was back. I think I'm just too stupid. The disappointed Zhang Shan had a face of helplessness. How was it that other people could do it so easily but he couldn't? Meng Tian thought about it and replied, Ability X is an ability that lies in the domain of your mind. The body is merely a carrier for it. When ability X's are unleashed, one will enter a very delicate state. It is not necessarily linked to an outburst, especially when you use it normally. The more agitated you are, the less likely you're able to use it. Why don't you try calming down? Calm. Meng Tian's words seemed quite sensible. The power was all in his mind. He had indeed approached this problem wrongly. Zhang Shan closed his eyes and began to let his mind wander. He tried to think of nothing. Absolutely nothing. No thinking. Snore. Student Zhang Shan had actually fallen asleep. To be honest, ever since he had awakened his ability, he had not had a good night's sleep. An hour later, why did you not wake me up? It was a whole hour, an entire hour was wasted, Zhang Shan said regretfully as he slapped his thigh. More haste, less speed. Perhaps resting might have helped. Zhang Runan couldn't be bothered with him. She just had an entire hour of peace, and it was wonderful. However, Zhang Shan woke up and interrupted her. The very fact that she had not beaten him up was already very nice of her. Meng Tian spoke again. Try reimagining the feeling you had when you were in danger. It might trigger your ability again. Don't worry. Since you have done it once, it can be done again. It's just a matter of time. Frankly, Meng Tian did not understand this very well. She had awakened her abilities naturally and was able to use it easily. It was difficult to explain how she was able to utilize her ability. It was something as easy as breathing to her. Zhang Shan listened attentively and then was harassed by Zhang Runan once again. After taking into account their suggestions, he found a small corner where he continued his training. Snore. Once again he fell asleep. It seemed like this would take some time. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan glanced at each other. The two of them understood that Zhang Shan's effort was due to his low self-esteem. He did not want to be the one dragging the team down. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan possessed strong abilities and Wang Zheng, although he lacked an ability X, possessed peak physical prowess. In the end, Zhang Shan had broken through. Inspiration was not something that could be based off memory, it came through seeing and understanding. He was an amazing physics genius, so why did he keep on thinking of those strange, improbable ideas? What was space-time movement? It didn't require one to change, it required one to warp the fabric of space-time. When one moved from one coordinate to another, the body didn't actually move. What changed was space-time itself. Ability X's were unique. Everyone understood it differently. Meng Tian's and Zhang Runan's understandings were only applicable to themselves. The more they tried to explain their way of using it, the more Zhang Shan would be misled. Upon reaching this new level of enlightenment, Zhang Shan felt that he was invincible. This belonged to him. Although his path had been long and arduous, he had finally found the key. This point was as Meng Tian and Zhang Runan had said. Sometimes after resting and relaxing, one would be able to reap even better gains. Zhang Shan was not willing to bring the team down. He sought to show his prowess during the second phase of IG training. This was what he had to fight for. It gave him a goal. He would shake the Milky Way. Meanwhile, a huge situation had developed in the CT world. Lady Goddess Bubbly had been stolen away. Those who were smiling were congratulating her, those who were crying were scolding little red noob. That B*TCH. He acted decisively and had captured the Lady Goddess. It was just too despicable. Regardless of what people said, Rainbow only replied, "Thank you." The angered crowd gestured obscenely. One was in so much pain that he couldn't help but lament, "Rainbow, you beast. What did you do? Did Bubbly Foam's family actually agree to let you marry her?" Dating was one thing, but marriage was a huge affair. Furthermore, wasn't Bubbly Foam a student? Wasn't this just too quick? Regardless, how could Bubbly Foam's family agree to this? Little Red Noob was just too quick. The word, fast, had a lot of legends associated with it. As of now, ice cream was the most famous one of those legends. What is ice cream? Bubbly Foam's fans asked curiously. Ah. At midnight, Little Red Noob brought a box of vanilla ice cream. This act had moved Bubbly Foam's family. F***CK. A box of vanilla ice cream? Who are you trying to fool? Bubbly Foam's family are very kind people. Little Red Noob was extremely earnest and they were very happy. Of course, showed up driving his deep freeze supercar. If he used a normal car, the ice cream would have melted on the way there. Regardless of who the girl was, the family would definitely have accepted. The key to chasing a girl had to do with the word fast, whether it be a fast car or acting fast. However, the one who had replaced Bubbly Foam was also a famous personality, although he was a newcomer in the commentator circle. It was the legendary Yao Ailun, the one and only Super Shu and the person who had formed the skeleton core. Brother Ailun, it's time. Chen Shu connected a holographic device to the network. In a minute, Yao Ailun would connect to the commentator's channel to perform the first commentary of his life. When he received the offer, Yao Ailun did not hesitate. Furthermore, he was quite free during the summer holidays. He also wanted to spar with that black deer. The first battle, he was commentating a game on behalf of Bubbly Foam for the Earth's professional summer games. Super Shu was actually a famous name in the CT circle. He had won numerous accolades and his analyses had also received over 10 million 5-star ratings. When he entered the commentator's channel, the holographic device not only transmitted his image onto other screens but also the live images of the battle to his screen. In an instant, all the sounds were transmitted through the device into his ears. Yao Ailun adjusted his spectacles and quickly composed himself. Without a doubt, student Ailun was in his best attire today. On the other hand, right beside him sat Comrade Black Deer. Let me introduce him to everyone. This is our new commentator. He is one half of the legendary analysts, Super Shu, Super Ailun. However, deep down, I am extremely sad. Bubbly Foam has retired from the commentator circle and has been replaced with a spectacled baby, Old Deer said as he asserted his dominance. Hello, everyone, I am Super Ailun. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Lady Goddess Bubbly Foam. I believe that my insight can make the commentary more professional and persuasive, preventing others from talking crap. After which, he gave Old Deer a slight smile. The skeleton core erupted into laughter. Chen Shu truly understood Yao Ailun. He had never seen him act this way, but the more he did, the more excited he got. When it came to commentary, it was also a cooperative role. Old Deer was also a form of entertainment. Haha. The new person seems quite excitable. Excellent. You can learn from me and become more professional. Old Deer shrugged his shoulders. He knew that the other party was not a friend of his. That B***starred Solon didn't have any good intentions. Yao Ailun smiled. Was this a market? The crazier others were, the more high he would be. Instead of learning, I believe my brothers hope that I will be able to do something more meaningful. I think everyone knows what I'm trying to say. Blocked. Before the battle had started, the discussion forums had already heated up. The Deer fan club has come to watch. Team Baikai wants to fight. If Black Deer does not die or surrender, kill him. At this time, the professional team's manager had also joined the discussion. The Baikai team had not performed well recently and was on the brink of relegation. At this point, Old Deer had opened the floodgates. It has to be said that it made many people furious, and a few of the neutral audience members started to lean towards the Baikai team. Old Deer will definitely not die. The Baikai team wants to borrow my luck and fame. Impossible. They need to pay for it. Old Deer smiled and rebutted. Meanwhile, he sent a private message to the team manager. Are you trying to play with me? Let's discuss fees. The opposing manager replied, okay. This was a normal match. Both of the teams were also playing normally. However, Yao Ailun and Old Deer's struggle had attracted the attention of numerous eyes. Although Ailun was a newcomer, his words and resilience had stirred the audience. He had even aroused the support of some of Old Deer's supporters. Both battlefields were equally exciting. Chen Shu's three sisters were also rooting for Ailun. It has to be said that this brat looked quite handsome when he was doing such great things. Solon watched the screen with a smile on his face. Although it seemed like a small thing, he believed that this would be an important decision in the times to come. Although many people had talent, few could recognize talent in front of them. He was one of those who could. The feeling of returning to Earth was amazing. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan were not gossipy. Zhang Shan, on the other hand, grabbed Wang Zheng to ask him all sorts of questions. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan couldn't help but smile. It looked like the mountain maiden was seeing his lover. Ah, the sage taught you, sh*t, what bull, it was a pity I didn't go. Wang Jung found Zhang Shan slightly bewildering. Just say it. What good thing has happened? Looking at you, it seems like you can't wait to tell the whole world. Haha, it seems you have seen through me, Zhang Shan bragged. 10,000 words are not as effective as showing you. Ah, you improved your mech piloting abilities. What do you mean improvement? I will let you see a legendary ability that allows me to blitz through the universe. Today was going to be his first time using his ability on a mech. Zhang Shan climbed into the Bata Type 5 and steadied his breathing. Wang Jung and friends moved a short distance away. Looking at Meng Tian and Zhang Runan's mysterious behavior, Wang Jung was curious to know what was going on. What is he trying to pull off? He seems so cocky. Why don't you see it for yourself? Zhang Shan is about to pull off something amazing, Zhang Runan said. Zhang Shan was extremely confident as he sat inside his mech. Good afternoon, everyone. Take a good look. This is the time of a miracle. Bang! The three of them watched silently. A loud bang resounded and the three of them were eagerly anticipating the result. A moment later, the cockpit opened and Zhang Shan jumped out while waving his arms. How was that? Wasn't that awesome? Wang Jung, you don't have to worry, you will awaken your ability X one day. The three of them glanced at each other before peering at Zhang Shan curiously. Why are you looking at me? It was such an awesome warp through space-time. Aren't you guys jealous? Zhang Shan was not satisfied with the expressions of his fans. Meng Tian helplessly pointed behind her. Why don't you see for yourself? Zhang Shan turned his head. Ah, it looked a little familiar. Zhang Runan walked over. The distance traveled was about 10 feet. You took 3 to 4 seconds to move over. I think this is enough to get you killed. Zhang Shan wanted to kill himself with a block of tofu. Granny's leg. He wanted to look cool, but he had been thwarted. However, Wang Jung did not speak. He was really quite surprised and shocked. Something wonderful and mysterious had taken place. You awakened your ability X. Yes, Granny's leg. It's so weak. F***CK. It's downright useless. I can't even use it to move more than 2 steps. This will really get me killed. After fully exerting himself, he was only able to warp just a short distance. It was worthless. Although the ability X's energy consumption was large, it was unusable in times of danger. Wang Jung nodded his head before clapping Zhang Shan on his back. Rome wasn't built in a day. You brat, you're quite impressive. How awesome. Really, Zhang Shan was a little nervous. He was one that sought Wang Jung's approval. B***LL shit. Are you trying to demoralize me? Even in my dreams I'm trying to find a way to awaken my own ability X? Wang Jung rolled his eyes. However, it doesn't seem to be very useful. You need to train. You aren't an old man. What you have is time. Zhang Shan was extremely excited upon hearing Wang Jung's words. He immediately began to explain to him how he had awakened and how he understood it. This experience was extremely valuable to Wang Jung. Especially as he had yet to awaken his own ability X. It was clear that Wang Jung would not awaken his ability X naturally. He knew that he had to do so in a way which was similar to Zhang Shan. However, dangerous situations would not be enough. Even if death was on the line, Wang Jung had been trained to stay cold and calm. The more excited Zhang Shan was, the more Wang Jung yearned to have his own ability X. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan also wished to assist Wang Jung. Deep down, they felt that Wang Jung could lead them to victory in the upcoming IG selections. However, the lack of an ability X was a crippling blow to his potential prowess. Even Zhang Shan had one now. If Wang Jung had his own ability X, their team would rise to an unprecedented level of power. It is as Zhang Shan said, it's all up to fate. Even if I was anxious, it would be useless. I have to wait for the right opportunity, Wang Jung said as he helplessly shrugged his shoulders. Rastan and Lai Xin were similar in this regard. The moment they awakened their ability X's, they had transcended in terms of strength. Zhang Runan suddenly nodded her head. Wang Jung, I feel that you do not need to worry about this. All roads lead to Rome. Amongst all those ability X users, how many of them actually got to the peak without the support of their ability? Too many to count. Too many things are still unknown right now. Manly Sister, Mighty Meng, and Wang Jung. I will protect you during the next stage. Zhang Shan grasped Wang Zheng's shoulder as he proclaimed his words. We will use our intelligence to beat our opponents. It has to be said that the two most intelligent individuals in IG were most likely these two. Training resumed as per usual. Other than normal training, Meng Tian, Zhang Shan, and Zhang Runan also had to train their usage of the ability X. They trained relentlessly every day. However, this training was mostly to develop and further their understanding of their own powers. During this point, Wang Zheng became their audience. He could clearly feel the difference between the three, yet he could not control this power. Student Wang felt a little down. Why couldn't the heavens illuminate a path for him? The sage was the same. He chose to obscure his face and hide. Since Wang Zheng was a fated person, why did he not provide any guidance? Why couldn't this be like the stories where a powerful elder would come and save the protagonist in a time of danger and guide them to greater heights? Wang Zheng felt more depressed at this point. At the same time, the kings were feeling pretty depressed as well. In the live streaming area, Yao Ailun and Old Deer were staring face to face, arguing to no end. He really is a person from Locke. When did this team change? Yao Ailun was shocked. Locke's star. A famous location in the Sagittarius constellation. As the situation in the constellation was always unstable, a lot of events had also occurred there. As a result, the people of Locke's star had also become hardened by the situation. It was a star full of professional soldiers. All of the youth from there were conscripted since young, so they did not possess carefree lives like other children. In Locke's star, they had recently started numerous mecha courses. They chose the most outstanding youths to be trained and developed. At the same time, they reached out to intergalactic corporations and private arms dealers to set up there. Hence Locke's star was essentially heavily militarized. The soldiers there were known to be professional and dedicated. Mineral-rich planets liked to hire mercenaries from Locke. What differentiated them was that these mercenaries from Locke followed certain guidelines. They would never join the army or take part in political struggles, they would only be part of commercial endeavors. This was what made them so attractive to certain intergalactic corporations. Although Locke's star's strength was not at the peak, compared to a power like Aslan, they were still quite well-rounded. Other than Atlantean mecha, the moment any country had released a new mecha into the market, the people of Locke would immediately begin to research it. They were extremely professional in this aspect as well. Furthermore, the people of Locke did not research anything other than mecha, not even spaceships. Hence even the immortal barbarians knew that if there was anyone that could beat them at the usage of the jungle scamper, it would be the people of Locke. The people of Locke did not participate in IG, however, no one would look down upon their abilities, especially regarding their research and understanding of mecha. Some had said that the people of Locke were money-minded. They would not do anything without profit. Naturally, they had their own CT region. People were not machines, they enjoyed the occasional game and would even play in the Earth region occasionally. However, they were not people who merely sought simple-minded pleasures. This was not how a person of Locke was like. The people of Locke were pragmatic. They originally thought that these people had faked their identities as people of Locke. However, after looking closer, it was clearly not the case. Bragging Simon pounded the wall in anger. D*MN. Where did these brats come from? Losing was not depressing. What was depressing was that the pentastrike used by the enemy outdid Bragging Simon's own hexastrike. This was simply a taunt. They had used the exact same move, but the enemy had grasped the essence of the move even better than Bragging Simon himself. They had truly completely comprehended the mysteries of the move. As a professional player, they took pride in specializing in a particular mech or move. Prince was no different. Although his temper was better, he too was outmatched. It was essentially adults beating up children. It looks like the opponents prepared themselves before they came over. I think they would like to say something. Old Deer was very experienced with such matters. Deep down, he knew that the opponent had come with certain intentions. The people of Locke were vicious and brutal. Their match was akin to crushing dried leaves and rotten twigs. They had completely suppressed the opponents. At this point, a transmission was sent from the Locke Stars team leader. I am Za Rang. I only have one aim here. Send Skeleton out and don't waste my precious time. Following which, he stopped the transmission. He was truly acting tyrannical. Prince and the rest finally understood why they were here. They were here to cause trouble and enhance their own reputation. The Earth region was just too hot right now. Numerous players from the solar system had come to play in the Earth region, bringing life to it. In fact, a lot of experts had come here to bully the players of Earth, and many of them chose to declare war openly. It has to be said that this was an effective way of gathering attention. Such a situation was nothing special, and it was all in the name of fun. However, for the people of Locke, they had come banging right on the door. Prince and friends were infuriated, but they were helpless. This was something arranged by Solon. However, Solon was equally infuriated. Didn't friendship come first? In the past, when Solon was merely the vice president, he envied McLaren. However, now that he was in his position, the stress was even greater than he had imagined. Occasional inactivity was still a good thing. However, when things got heated, people would literally be banging on the doors. This battle was like that. They had welcomed challengers from everywhere, regardless even if they were Atlanteans or from Aslan. All of it would improve the reputation of the region. However, these opponents were clearly not here to do that. A normal match would definitely be exciting and anticipated. However, they had received a message from the CT board of directors to arrange a proper match. There was no explanation nor any reasons given. A match just had to be organized. Even the chairman of the solar system had to act on their words. If the board wanted to do so, they could have him removed with just a sentence. The people of Locke. Was this a joke? They were a group of professional mercenaries who came to play court. Wasn't that quite shameless? Prince and the rest were professional players, and they had never been scared of players from the army. Although there were commonalities between real life and CT, they were still two completely different things. However, for the people of Locke, this too was also completely different. Most of the players from Locke were professional mercenaries, and CT was another source of income for them with just lower requirements.